great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.
Welcome back to the Immigration Answer Show. My name is Jim Hacking. This is episode number 806. I am in my car getting ready for Nora's soccer game, which starts in about an hour. So we'll go for a full hour here, or maybe a little bit short. You won't believe. Oh, my friend Hulu was here. She left. I was going to have her say hi to everybody. She held the spot because it's very, very late in Bahrain. So it's just me now. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I know you guys have been waiting, and I want to get as many calls in as we can. Hope you're all having a good day and that your week is off to a good start. Let's go to For a Friend. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Jim.
How you doing?
Good, sir. So here's the situation, sir. My friend, he has a withholding of removal status.
Okay.
So he got married in 2024 April. I'm sorry, March.
Okay.
And they got a baby right now, like 1 month, 1.5 months.
Okay.
The thing is, they got to light argue, and his wife just called his parents, and they took the baby and his wife, and they left him.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not saying anything. Like, I'm not sure. Maybe they're gonna go through divorce or not. But
Okay.
you understand the whole situation. And they filed the adjustment of status as well. They were on the process of like applying for it. They
Wait.
got a lawyer and stuff.
So they wouldn't have filed for adjustment of status. They would have just filed the I-130 if they did it correctly. Is the I-130 on file?
I mean, they didn't file yet. They were collecting the documents for past few months.
Yep. So, I mean, that's one reason why people shouldn't dilly-dally. This case should have been filed right after they got married while Biden was still in office. To think that they dragged ass for a whole year, even though they knew Trump was coming as of November, that's sort of ridiculous. But he's screwed. I've seen this movie before. I've had this case before. He's got nothing. And now all he has is a withholding of removal, which is no status at all. So I think your friend's in big trouble.
I mean, what about his baby? Like, it doesn't connect.
His baby's a U.S. citizen, and if he gets deported, he'll have to wait till he's 21 for that kid to sponsor him, and he won't be able to say just because he has a baby. This idea that there are quote-unquote anchor babies is BS.
What if his wife goes through lawyer and he has to pay the money for the baby, but he gets deported?
Yeah, so I mean that's one way of looking at it, sure. And of course it'd be best for the family for the dad to be here and paying for the kid, but that's not going to give them any reason for him to stay. That's no legal basis to stay. And you know, a lot of times. So did you say that the lady sort of went back to her parents? Yeah. So I've seen that movie before, and usually the way that ends up is the family is like, let's just get rid of him and we'll support you ourselves. And that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, the fact that he might have to pay child support in a divorce proceeding is entirely different from whether or not he gets to stay. So I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
All right. See ya. All right. Let's go to Worry USA Citizen.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. My question is, I'm married and my wife overseas, and
Okay.
I'm worried that if I leave the country, if I'm gonna have issue getting back in the country, because I was arrested like 3 times before, not on no assault charge. So I was reading an article today, and it basically said that you can be denied as a U.S. citizen coming in the country if you was arrested and so forth.
That's not true. I mean, I suppose anything's possible, but that's very, very, very unlikely. These were all disclosed when you naturalized?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be worried about that. There's lots of things to worry about, but I think that you'll most likely be allowed re-entry into the United States as a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, because I was worried because I even have a clearance, so I was really worried because I look up I do a Google search and was just looking if a U.S. citizen can be denied coming back in the country, and it says you can't you're arrested. So I don't know what true that was, so that's why I reaching out to you.
No, they would have to take away your citizenship first, and they'd have to have you in the country to be able to do that. So I think the chances of that are very unlikely.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, don't worry about that. Get going on your wife's case. Have a good day.
Thank you.
See ya. All right, let's go to Lex. Hi, Lex.
Hi, good afternoon. So my question is for an active duty service member who I'm supervising. The member was naturalized when he enlisted a decade ago. Now the member is facing court-martial. If he is convicted of a felony charge, will this affect his naturalization in any way?
Was the felonious activity going on while he naturalized, or is it something that happened after?
It happened after,
Sure.
years, like many years after.
Okay. Yeah, so generally that should not... denaturalization is very tough, and it most likely has to be related to something involved in fraud in getting the naturalization, or not being told, USCIS not being told the truth when he naturalized. So if you're talking about a felony that occurred 8 or 9 years after he became a citizen, that's not something that he would be losing his citizenship for.
Got it. So even if the member was naturalized through the military, he wouldn't be subjected to denaturalization because of
here's what I'll say. I don't know 100% for sure, but I think that's very unlikely. I don't know for sure.
Okay.
But naturalization is such a different beast that I think it'd be almost impossible. Might be worth talking to an immigration lawyer and getting a definitive answer, but I think generally that naturalization only gets taken away if you lied about it during the process. I don't know that there's a special provision in the military code that if you get your citizenship through the military, if you get court-martialed, no, I really don't think that could happen. What's the charge?
Fraud.
What kind of fraud?
It's fraud? housing allowance fraud.
Like, that sucks. I could do a little bit of checking. If he wants to email me, I could do that for him.
Okay, but how can what email address, or do we just get with Julia?
No, that's fine. I mean, if you have Julia's number, you can go through her, but I can or her email, but I should put it down here at the bottom. info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com.
info@hackingimmigrationlaw.com. Okay, got it.
Thanks, Lex.
Thanks.
See ya. Man, everybody's freaking out. The citizens are all freaking out. I guess that's the deal these days. Hi, Harsh.
Hello, Mr. Jim.
How are you doing?
I'm great. I have just two quick questions. So I applied for concurrent filing on 15th of January. I got scheduled for biometrics on 26th of February this year, 2025.
Based on marriage to a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the question is I know you say that timings on the USCIS account is not viable, you should not follow those. But all of a sudden, my EAD is not approved, but I got scheduled for interview next month. It's quite quick. I'm just concerned about that.
I would say we've been seeing an uptick in that. I guess one question I have is, were you in status at the time that you filed, or were you out of status?
I was out of status when I filed, but I was in status when I got married.
Okay, and how long? Well, let's ask this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very little marriage evidence and 10 being a lot of marriage evidence, how much would you say that you submitted?
I'm pretty confident it will be at least 8 or 9, I have to say. I don't know about 10, but yeah.
Okay, and how long after you got married did you file?
You're gonna scold me. It's probably a year about that. We got married on 31st January 2024. After that, like I graduated and all, and we were like moving, so we were able to file on 15th January this year.
And so, were you on OPT F1 or you're still in your undergrad F1 or master's?
No. I was in OPT. I was working, but before I was able to apply for STEM, I was working with Amazon as software developer.
Yeah.
I got laid off during that recession time, so
Okay.
I couldn't apply for STEM OPT. But I was already married by then.
And the person that you married, how long did you know them before you married?
At least 3 years.
Okay. So there's a little subset of cases, and it might just be triggered by the fact that you were technically out of status for a couple of weeks before you filed. So
Right.
I have an old video that I made a while back, and it's basically most people complain about having to wait too long for their interview, and rightly so. But that there's certain cases where I think that in order to screw the applicant, they schedule it for an interview very, very quickly. But
Okay.
I don't think that's the case in your situation, given the fact that you have a long history with this person, that you waited a year to file, that you sent them a year's worth of actual married evidence, right? So I don't think your case, what I think your case is what we're seeing a little bit of an uptick in, is that there's a 20% group of cases that are being scheduled for interview very quickly, simply because they've done a better job of streamlining the process. Now Trump's going to come in and bust that all up, but
Right.
in other words, they finally got to a situation after 3.5 years of Biden in office of getting it, getting that squared away. And so now that'll all go back, but I think you might be one of the lucky people that just got it set quickly.
I hope so. So my last question is about the evidence thing. So like, as we just filed on 15th January, pretty much we gave all the evidence.
Yeah.
From that day to this day, like my interview will be on May.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of evidence between this 4 months. Only thing is we have joint tax thing we did.
How about the bank account? Do you have a joint bank?
Yeah.
Do you
We
use
have
it?
joint bank account. We use it for like all our utilities and our rent. But only new evidence is like our joint tax, which we filed this year.
Yeah, that's no worries. I might bring some updated photos.
Right.
Bring my 24 tax returns. Bring some updated bank statements. Call it a day. They understand that you just did that.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I had, sir.
Thank you, Harsh.
Thank you so much for your work,
Good
sir.
luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Keep us posted, okay?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
All right. I'm gonna go to I-485. Hello.
Hi, Jim. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Mine is like, my case is like not as complicated. Me and my wife, we both got the asylum, and we are planning to apply for the green card. My wife had back in 2014, she had like a traffic ticket. She was driving without a driver license, and we took care of that in 2022. Back then, I found out, we were not married back then, but I found out around that time that she had a ticket and she had a warrant.
Yep.
And we took care of that through the court. It was a deferred probation. She has to not take any tickets for 6 months and pay the fines, which we did. So now my question: when we apply for the 485, do we disclose that as only citation or as a crime as well? Since she was driving in Texas.
No,
And like it's
I wouldn't say. Have you ever? No, I wouldn't say that's a crime. I would just say that's a citation.
so just a citation.
Yeah. Did she get picked up on the warrant, or she just took care of it later?
She wasn't arrested. No, the officer just gave her a ticket and let her go.
No, I know. But then she went 8 years without paying that ticket, and it went warrant. So sometimes when something goes warrant, what that means is that if a law enforcement officer comes in contact with her, they're supposed to arrest her and make her deal with the old warrant. So I'm just trying to make sure that didn't happen.
No, that did not happen. So what happened? I found she sort of told she forgot about like paying the whole thing, and when we were preparing for our interview, for the asylum interview, because the asylum interview is under my case. It's like I am the primary. So when I married her, and she's also like illegal immigrant. So she's from Mexico. I'm from Syria. I added her to the case. So when that happened, I was asking her like, do you have anything that I should worry about? And she brought this up. So that's when we started the investigation, and we went and sorted it out without going, without an officer or something like picking her up.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be worried about this at all.
Okay. And similarly, I had just a speeding ticket in 2014, so I can also disclose that as citation as well, right?
That's right.
Okay. I have a different question for a friend. He's
Yep.
also asylum, but his like is more complicated because he came here and the financial situation was really bad, so he had to work illegally and he had to like get like a fake social and a fake green card
Well, he didn't
to
have to.
work.
He didn't have to.
Uh,
He did.
he did. That's what he did and he used it for a year. And after he got his like work authorization and whatnot, he got rid of that and started working regularly. So he was asking me also like because he's also trying to get get hold of you, but it's hard sometimes. So what should he do in this case? Should he like disclose that in the
He should not
you know?
file. He should not file any immigration benefit without an attorney.
Okay, so do you think? Okay,
And that shit's criminal. Like it's a crime
exactly.
to use a green card that's fake. So he needs to talk to a criminal defense attorney, and he needs an immigration lawyer to represent him through the process.
Would you be able to help with that if he's like contact you?
Sure.
Okay, so like
if he wants to hire us, if he's just calling to get my opinion on whether it's safe or
Oh
not.
no, he wants to hire. Yeah, like he
perfect.
definitely he has been like I think he's also trying to get into to get his job. So
Yep.
like does he just call your office directly or does he just email you with the case detail and like
I would do
what
that.
should he do?
His best bet is to email his full contact information, any details of the situation and what benefit he wants to apply for. Email it to that info at.
Okay, can you please post the email in the chat or someone
It's right there at the bottom, but yeah, I can put it in the chat.
Okay, perfect. I'll let him know and hopefully things work out for him. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Jim.
brother.
Those are my
Good
questions.
luck.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck with your green
Yep.
card. Now, hopefully he knows that USCIS at the moment is not processing green card applications filed by asylum seekers, but he should still apply, as should his spouse. Maksud is here. Hello. Maksud, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, Maksud. Go ahead, buddy.
Hi, Jim. Thank you so much for taking me, and thank you so much for doing this for us. We really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
So I will try to keep as short as I can. So I came to United States on B1, B2 visa in 2020 September, and then in March my visa it expired, and I applied for asylum on August at 11th month of my being in United States. So basically, I was 19 years old, and I didn't really have an idea who to work with, who to hire as an attorney.
Sure.
I worked with one of attorneys that I found online, and she didn't take the story, whatever happened to me in my country. She just said, "I'm gonna just put here that I belong to this, to that, and this, and I will explain everything in the interview." So it's been 3 years and a half, more than that. I've been waiting for my interview to be scheduled, but I see a lot of people with the same category from the same group that I belong to already got their interviews, got their green cards. But do you think it's because we didn't send them the story and the evidence files? And is there any way I can do it now? And is it going to help at all?
Great questions all around. Okay. So first of all, when you filed your asylum case, did you actually fear going back to your home country?
Yes, everything is real.
Okay. And so you're telling me that all that's on file basically is the I-589 form itself?
Yes, she just put there that I belong to this group. I'm having a problem in my home country, and I explain it at the interview. But
Yeah.
I actually have my case ready, like 55, 60 pages. I did it myself. I just don't know if I should send it to USCIS or not.
Well, you definitely shouldn't send it without a lawyer because you're probably saying things in there that sound good to you, but probably aren't good to say. So you probably definitely want to have a lawyer look it over. So what is the approximate receipt date? Like when was the asylum case filed?
August 21st, we filed the asylum case, and one
What
week
year?
later,
What year?
2021.
So it's been on file for almost 4 years, 3 years and 10
Yes.
months. Okay. All right.
Then I got my receipt notice. I went to the fingerprint, and since then it's been saying that we sent you the receipt notice. And then I tried everything. I contacted the congressman, I did everything I can. The only thing I see here is in 2023, the status is changed. It says we will let you know when your interviews will
Yeah.
be scheduled.
So I assume you have a copy of what was actually filed, right?
Yes.
Is there anything in there that's not true?
No.
Okay, so you're just saying that you have 60 pages of stuff to make the case better.
Right.
And why do you want them to decide your asylum case quickly?
Why not?
Well, why not? Because if you get denied, you go to immigration court and then you're in deportation in Trumplandia.
So I'm pretty sure they're not going to deny it because everything I tell them and I proofs and everything, I have scars all over my body. Everything is evidence.
I'm
It's
sorry.
just, yeah, it's
Okay.
just, yeah.
Okay, so here's how we handle situations like yours, okay? This
Mhm.
is what we do. We ask someone to send us what's been filed, or in your case, what's been filed and what's your other 60 pages of stuff. We look it over and we say, Maksud, we think you've got an A case, a B case, or a C case. You seem to think you have an A case. Hopefully you do, right? So we'll tell you, you know, this stuff's pretty good. You probably need some more development. If you wanted us to help you get it all ready to update, then it would cost this much money. And then once you get it ready, if you want to, the best way to I can get you an interview. If you've been waiting 3.5 years, I can sue them and get you an interview. That's sort of the easy part. So what we want to do is make sure the case is ready to go for an interview, and then we sue them, and then we get you the interview. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's the mandamus, right? You're talking about.
Mandamus, that's right. Yep.
Yes. Okay, I got it. All right. So do I send you an email about this or?
Yeah, you just say this is Maksud. I was on the show with Jim at about the 20-minute mark on Tuesday. Here's what I filed. Here's my other stuff. Here's why I think this is a good case. Let me ask you this question. Have things changed in your home country for better or for worse for people like you since you filed?
It's the same. It's a country where the president has been president for 20 years.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, send it over and we'll go from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Maksud. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Yeah, that's a question that we always ask is, why do you want your asylum case to be done quickly? And of course, 4 years ain't quickly, but why do you want it sooner rather than later? But it sounds like if he got beaten and has scars, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's always tricky when you, as an asylum lawyer, it's always tricky because someone will tell you these horrible, horrible things and you're sad for them and you empathize, but you're also like, man, that's a good case, right? And then the flip side is sometimes people won't have much stuff and you have to tell them that that's not a good case. You know what I mean? So being an asylum lawyer is sort of strange that way. All right, well, hopefully we can help Maksud. Let's go to Dika. Hello.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I want to say I appreciate everything that you're doing. You're doing a great job. I listen to you
Thanks.
when I can. So my my case is a little bit a dilemma, but
Okay.
14 years ago or 15 years ago, I married my husband. This year will be 15 years. Before I married him, he was married before. He got a divorce. The marriage wasn't working out. When he went to immigration, they said the case was marriage fraud for his previous marriage. So when I married him, I filed this case. It got denied because of his previous marriage. My lawyer appealed the case. It was remanded back in two. We got married 2011. Yeah. So when I filed 2022, the case was remanded back to the USCIS local office.
Wow.
So all that time I've been waiting for the appeal to go through. It was remanded. They sent it back to the field office. My lawyer, she filed for EAD. Once it was remanded, she filed for his EAD, is advanced parole, and for his green card. EAD was approved. The parole was approved. We had an interview for his green card on March 17th. Now the case is actively being reviewed, but everything else they approved. They also approved the I-130 that I applied for in 2011 when we got married.
Jesus.
Because that case was that's the one that my lawyer appealed with the immigration court, and they sent it back to my local office. They took what 6 or 7 years before this case actually is active now. what I want to ask you with the interview that we did, they didn't ask a lot of questions, maybe around 10 questions, and they asked about his previous marriage. He said it's been over 15 years. He can't recollect much. It's been over 15 years now, so there's not too much question I could answer. The lawyer said he just need to be brief, which he did. What am I supposed to expect with this interview? Like, you know,
So the I-130 was approved after this March 17th interview?
no, it was approved before. Before, that's why we went in for a 485 interview for the green card. They also approved his EAD and also approved his advanced parole because
Yeah,
he
none of
wanted
it,
to.
but that doesn't mean much. That doesn't help or hurt. That's not instructive. That doesn't
Yeah.
impact. So basically, the thing that's been holding them up in giving him a green card is they believe that he committed marriage fraud the first time.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
And was that decision reversed when they remanded it, or is that still like? I need to know more about the remand and what they remanded for.
Yeah. When they remanded, all it said in the paperwork, remand for a different decision. That's what the paperwork said
On
from
the
the
I-130 or the
EO,
45?
the I-130.
Yeah, see, the 45 is the whole shoot match. The 45 is the problem. The I-130, I mean, ultimately an I-130 only involves whether or not the current marriage is valid. The proper remedy for them, if they think there is a fraudulent marriage, is not to deny the new I-130, it's to approve the new I-130 and deny the 45.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense now.
Because
So
it's the prior act of alleged fraud
fraud.
that makes him inadmissible to get his green card now.
So why would they remand the case back to the local office? What would cause them to do that?
Well, I'm guessing, not having seen any of the paperwork, but I'm guessing that perhaps they thought that the office should have granted the I-130 that you filed and denied the 45. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just thinking out
okay.
loud. So, but I would have taken a different tact than your lawyer with your husband. I would have beaten the shit out of him and tracked down that ex-wife and made a hell of a case that first one was real and that I am admissible. So I wouldn't have gone in there with the I don't know defense. I don't remember defense. That's not very compelling because we have to remember, whose burden is it to prove that someone's admissible to the United States? It's our burden. It's our burden. It's not their burden.
Wow.
So the I don't remember defense doesn't get you very far.
Okay. So I'm not looking for them to they said I have 4 months before they make a decision because when we're talking to the officer, he said it's not our marriage he's worried about. He said that directly. Our marriage is not the
But then your
problem.
husband offers him no help with that.
I'm sorry?
Then your husband offers him, that officer, no help with that. I would have handled it differently. I would have had him screaming to the rooftops, yeah, that shit was legit. I didn't file a fake case 15 years ago. I would never file a fake case. And it was real. We got married because we're in love. Yeah, it didn't work out. I love my wife now, but I didn't do any fraud. Like that's a very different approach.
Yeah. I'm just like really got to the point right now. It's been 15 years since we married, and we can't even travel or do anything.
Right.
Even though he's having that advanced parole, he
No,
don't
he
want to take the
shouldn't leave.
chance
Nope.
to leave.
What? Here's the $1 million question. Are you ready for it?
Go ahead.
All right, here it is. That's the sound. That's the sound of USCIS knocking on his ex-wife's door. What does she say?
Okay.
What does she say? And you don't have to
I
say
know,
it, you don't have to say it to me if you don't want to, but that's the $1 million question.
I know she don't live in the state anymore. I know that for sure.
They can
Where
still
they
find.
used
They
to.
can still find her.
Yeah. So
They
I
have,
don't know.
they have a fraud unit, and that's the work your lawyer should have done, I think.
Wow. Okay.
And I will say this: it's not too late. You could still do it. The case is under review. If you could find her and get an affidavit from her that says, yeah, this shit was real, it just didn't work out, and I sure as hell didn't engage in any marriage fraud, and neither did he.
Yeah.
To me, that gets you a whole lot closer than you are right now.
Okay. I see. So thank you so much. I
Good luck,
appreciate
Dika.
you.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
That's a great
Bye-bye.
call. All right. Yeah. My man Tim in the office, Tim Rudolph, one of our attorneys, who's probably representing some of you watching, very smart fellow. He said, Jim, can you do a video on I don't know? On I don't know as an answer at your asylum interview or your citizenship interview or your green card interview. I don't know is okay when it's true. But you don't want to go in there acting like you don't know anything. And I'm not saying that's what this guy did. I'm just talking generally about how the I don't know or I don't remember response is something that people sometimes do when they're nervous. And it's not very helpful to the case overall. It's not very helpful to an approval because it's our burden. We have to establish that we are eligible for the immigration benefits sought, right? So I think that's really important to keep that in mind and to minimize I don't knows or I don't remembers to when you really, really, really don't know or you really, really, really don't remember. And as Tim pointed out when asking me to make the video, he said, be sure to say something like, well, I'm not entirely sure, but if I remember correctly, it was this, or like try to narrow it because I don't know and I don't remember is just so broad. Yeah, I'll make the video. I got to make some videos this week. I think we're out of videos as of Friday. So this is one on the list. But I think it'd be a good one. And so keep that in mind when you're getting ready. And, you know, one of the other things I always tell people when I'm getting ready to go into an interview with them is I can come in and save you. I can come rescue you, but you really don't want me to. Because if it looks like I'm coaching you or refreshing your recollection, that just doesn't look good. So, you know, that's why I tell people get a good night's rest, review your file. I've literally had clients who reviewed their file every week, once a week, until they got into their interview. And you know what? They made kick-ass witnesses. Kick-ass witnesses because instead of bitching and moaning about how long USCIS or the State Department or the asylum office is taking to adjudicate their case, they said to themselves, what can I control? What are the things within my sphere of influence that I can help make this better? And the answer to that was to study their file and to get ready for their interview, right? All right. Let's go to FPP. Are you down with FPP?
Yes, I am.
How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for
Great.
bringing me up. Thank you for
Sure.
bringing me up. I had a question. So, I am a Canadian citizen, and I am going to get married soon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's a U.S. citizen, and we plan to live in the U.S. because she lives there.
Yep.
And I'm just wondering what would be the better option to take. Would pursuing consulate or adjustment of status? What would be the fastest way to avoid like a separation or like a time where we're not together?
Have you ever lived in the United States?
I work in the United States. I work on a TN visa, but I commute to and fro.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you're in the United States for 60 days on your TN and you guys get married and apply for adjustment, you would be together the whole time, and it would be very different than if you file for consular processing and you're going back and forth. That's going to be problematic coming through customs, and you're probably waiting 2.5 years for it all to run through and then get your interview in Montreal.
Right. So then that would mean adjusting status would be better.
Adjustment of status. This would be another good video. Adjustment of status is always better. Almost always better.
Okay, thank you for clarifying because I didn't. And do you know exactly like how long it would take to get like work authorization? For instance, if my TN does expire.
Yeah. Well, if you're in the United States and you apply for adjustment, an EAD would probably come in about 5 months after filing. But like that first fellow said, we have been seeing people lately getting their green cards without ever getting their EAD. So sometimes that thing's going faster.
Right. And then if we're to compare both routes, you said the consulate route takes about 2 years. What would you say the adjustment of status takes?
Depends where you live, but it could be anywhere from six. Well, my man got his interview in a month or 2 months. So I guess I should say anywhere from 3 months to a year or 14 months.
Okay.
Depends on the office and depends on the complexity of the case. Depends on whether the person's been out of status or has crimes or has been married before. Depends on lots of different things, but generally it mostly depends on where you live and how busy the field office is.
Thank you so much. Those are the questions I had. Thank you for answering.
Good luck, brother.
Thank you.
You down with FPP? Yeah, you know me. All right. We got Daniel here. Hello. Daniel. Hello.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Hey, so I wanted to first and foremost thank you as always. And I wanted to revisit something you and I had discussed in the past.
Giddy up.
It's the what was it? The joint bank accounts with my wife.
Yes.
For the I-751.
Yes.
She's in the other room, but we came to our justification of like why I am the only one contributing money to it and she's not.
Again, it's not our justification. It's the reason. It's the truth.
It is the truth. And she's actually going to school.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she's doing a part-time job. So all of her money basically goes towards her school.
Yeah.
And so that's actually in a separate bank account. So it doesn't get mixed up and she has the funds for her schooling.
Okay. That sounds very understandable.
And we did also get like a joint credit card recently for her. So we're going to submit that evidence as well, obviously.
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted your opinion on that. And the other thing is we opened a joint bank account back in 2023. But it had her maiden name, her previous surname.
Yeah.
But her surname now is changed to my surname.
Sure.
So the joint bank account paperwork shows her previous surname. Would that be an issue?
Come on, my brother. You know they can figure that shit out. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff they can't figure out, but they can figure out that.
I know, but you preach all the time. There, you keep telling me they can't do anything. So that's okay.
All right. So maybe I should make a list of the things that they actually can do. One of the things they actually can do is figure out when somebody gets married that they sometimes have a new last name.
Okay, so I don't even know. Okay. And the other thing is, the other question is, she has me listed as her emergency contact and her beneficiary for 401k, but it was for her previous job at which she left, but it was since 2023 since we got.
Yeah, that's all good. That's all
So,
good evidence.
Even though her current job is different, is that still good?
Yes, brother. Hey, listen, you're worrying too much. I need to make a video. Like, there's some people that worry too little, for sure. There's some people that worry too much, for sure. You just want to have the right amount of worrying. This kind of stuff, you're tying yourself up in knots, and I don't want you to be. I mean, I really try not to freak people out, and I hope I haven't freaked you out. But I think this is all going to be fine.
Okay.
And we can add to the list. We can add to the list. Besides, we're going to start this list right now. A Google Doc. They can figure out when somebody gets married and changes their last name, and they also understand that sometimes people leave an old job and get a new job.
Okay.
Evidence from the old job is still good.
Okay. Yeah, those are all the questions I have for now. Thank you so much,
Daniel. See you, buddy.
Take care.
Yeah, Lucky's right. Lucky says this guy is going to get approved. I agree, Lucky. That guy is going to get approved. All right, let's go to Amy, and then we'll go to Jerry. Not really. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm great. I took off your last name because we don't put people's last names on here anymore.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So I have a question for you. My husband, we filed for his green card back home, I-30, and then he's a legal green card holder. So a couple of questions. He's been here in the U.S. for 4 years. He still has his green card, but he's wanting to travel back home to see his parents. Do you think there's anything to worry about with everything that we're hearing on the news?
What country?
Palestine.
How did he get his green card through marriage?
Yes.
Why hasn't he applied for citizenship?
We are going to do that, and that's my next question.
That's the cost of getting to go visit mom and dad. He has to become a citizen first.
Okay. And so he did get a speeding ticket. We got a lawyer. It's resolved. He paid the fees. Do you think that will hinder him from getting approval for the citizenship?
I do not. I do not think that will hinder him.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh, nope, that's it. I thank you so much.
Bye, Amy. See ya.
Bye.
That was easy. Let's go to Jerry Not Really. Hello, Jerry Not Really.
Good afternoon, Jim. Thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Did I tell you about Jerry in our neighborhood?
No, I've heard that one.
So there's this fat cat that walks around our neighborhood, and we found out that his name is Jerry, and he has another cat at their house named Tom. And Jerry, so in St. Louis where I live, you know how every city has like one kind of pizza company that's like the most famous?
Of course.
So in St. Louis, it's called Emo's, and Jerry is the Emo's cat. And so our neighbor's son found Jerry and brought him back to the house because Jerry like roams around.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave him a bunch of pizza coupons. So that was sort of cool. Anyway, go ahead, Jerry. You don't want to hear all that stuff.
No, all good. Thanks. I just wanted to first of all say thanks so much for what you do. Great content, great advice. So appreciated. I know I'm just one among many who are thankful for what you do.
Thank you.
I'll give you just a quick history because I know time is precious. I'm a U.S. citizen, born and raised. My wife is from Venezuela. Neither of us has a criminal record in any country. She came here she was one of the first cases in the country to come here under Venezuelan humanitarian parole.
Yep.
We got married several months later, June of 2023 in Michigan, and where we do not live now. We are now in the Royal Kingdom of Florida, so we're a little concerned about the environment around here. We did a concurrent filing, 13485, the whole shooting match as a married couple. That was accepted on December 16th. Her parole came to an end only a few weeks after that. And now, of course, many of us have gotten notifications about humanitarian parole coming to an end for multiple countries. Residents, as of 4/24, they're all being told to leave the country. Her parole has already ended, but we have an active pending case. So my first question is what is her status? Does she have a status? Is it as a pending applicant, or what is it?
She's a pending adjustment of status applicant.
Okay.
My big question right now is, has she been here more than 2 years or less than 2 years?
More than 2 years.
Good. So that's the most important thing, that she should keep proof of that on her person at all times.
Okay.
That way they shouldn't be able to give her expedited removal. If she were I think it's extremely remote that she would be placed into removal proceedings. I think you have a total path for her to stay here. If they started messing with her, I would love to be your lawyer and fuck with them and fight with them on all the different things that all the different ways they're trying to screw people like your wife. Right now, people are litigating whether the revocation was legal. And I don't know if you know this, but there was a memo that came out on February 14th that says, put Jerry's wife on hold. We're not going to adjudicate green card cases filed by people that were paroled into the United States. That too is being litigated by some really smart people.
Right.
But I would say pay attention to what's going on, but know that at the end of the day, she will get her green card. She should be fine. And if anybody messes with her, lawyers should be able to figure out and fix and fuck with them in a way that she will eventually get the benefit that she's supposed to and not get deported. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. As the son of a prosecuting attorney, I would love to fuck with them back if they fuck with me. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I'm serious. I mean, she's got a path. In normal times, she's got a very, very straightforward path. These aren't normal times, but all the things that they're trying to do are all going to be litigated. And I think most of what they're doing is illegal. So I think even this Supreme Court will find that a lot of it is illegal. And I think first and foremost, one of the things that is illegal is, I think their attempts to revoke the parole is problematic, but I think even more so, to say retroactively that those people don't have a valid entry is completely without basis in law or fact.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that branch of our government continues to have its balls, given the current environment.
Well, everybody does, but the Supreme Court.
Right.
Yeah.
Apparently. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, because that speaks to my third question, which was going to be about leaving the house. We go out dutifully with a file folder of her notice of actions about her 485 and my 130 and the entire history every time we leave. But she is terrified to leave the house, so I'd love to be able to tell my wife, relax, we're good, as long as we have our documentation.
Yeah, and now, do I wish you lived in a different state like Michigan? Yeah, I do, but that just to lower her stress level. But
Well, that will soon be the case again.
Okay, good. So let's just say worst case scenario. Let's say you make a left turn instead of a right turn. You come into some kind of CBP or border patrol kind of a checkpoint, and they decide to put her in removal, right? Mm-hmm. So she's not subject to expedited removal, which is the most important thing. And that means she's going to get to see a judge. It's going to be more expensive. It's going to be scarier, but at the end of the day, she has the right path. She has a way to stay. So I understand the fear totally, but I hope that by talking to me that you can make her feel a little bit better about overall her approach is sound and everything that you're doing is the right thing.
Thanks so much for that. One final quick question. I won't take any more of your time. My wife has read, as we do research all the time on this, for the better or for the worse, that she may have to provide notification to USCIS about the fact that she has a pending case. Ironically enough, it's with USCIS, in order to defend the fact that she has a legal status. Is that accurate? Or you're
talking about the registration requirement?
Yeah, not the registration requirement, just simply the fact to justify the fact that she has a legal status as a pending applicant.
How would that manifest? I don't understand.
I don't know, but she's terrified that we have to send a letter to USCIS to tell them that they already opened a case. And I told her I don't think that's the case, but I'll certainly ask Jim or others.
No, nothing I know about. I mean, if you want to send me that link, I'd be happy to see it and tell her not to worry about it, but that would surprise me. And I think they already know she's here. They paroled her. She's got a pending case. So I don't even think this registration requirement would apply to her.
Okay, great. I thought as much. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, yep.
Take care.
That was a great call. Sons of prosecutors, they don't mess around, because sons and daughters of prosecutors, they sat around the dinner table and they listened to mom or dad talk for a long time about what the law is, what courts are, and they're appalled by what these courts are doing. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. We got time for about 3 or 4 more calls. I'm going to go to Rochelle, then Hulu. Hello, Rochelle. You're on mute, Rochelle. Allergies are killing me.
Oh, I don't have a question. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how I got in the queue.
Oh, that's all right. I'll kick you out. No problem. Have a good day.
Bye.
We like to just come in and listen, I guess. Hulu, hello.
Hey, Jim. Really, thank you for giving us this time to ask some questions. So, really, my first question is about. So, I am currently a permanent resident. I have been traveling in and out of the country, going to Canada and go to other countries. I recently traveled and came back right before Trump got into office. But I am also on probation, and I usually plan traveling outside of the country, and I was really looking for guidance on how to best handle this.
Don't leave the United States to become a citizen.
They don't leave until I become a citizen?
That's right.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you're a green card green card holder on probation. What are you on probation for?
For a misdemeanor.
For what?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Misdemeanor what?
For a misdemeanor because my car got set on fire.
You set your car? Why would you get a misdemeanor because your car got set on fire?
I pled guilty because they say they had enough information on me.
That you lit it on fire yourself?
Yeah.
And did you plead guilty?
Yes.
So they're saying it was some kind of like insurance fraud?
Yeah, but I didn't contact the insurance at all. So they're just saying they had a video of me because I had the gas in the car. So I was
So have you left the United States since that all went down?
I have left the United States twice since that went out. So while I was going to court once, and after I started probation.
There's no way in hell that I would ever let you leave the United States if you were my client. Because fraud is, I mean, you could be deemed a arriving alien, and you could be, I mean, if the fraud, quote unquote fraud, amounted to something more than $10,000, that's all deportable. So you're playing with fire, no pun intended, and coming back and forth.
But it's not like a fraud for insurance at all, because there was no insurance involved at all.
Brother, do you want to fight me or do you want to be safe?
No, I don't. Now we're just looking for clarification.
You don't need no clarification from me. I can't be any more clear. You should not leave the United States. Well, first of all, you should not apply for citizenship until 5 years are up from your last day of probation.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't leave the United States until you get your citizenship.
I understand. Makes sense.
I mean, because you know they're looking for people to make examples of. They're looking for people to not let into the United States. So I think you're really, really putting it at risk. Good luck, Hulu.
Thank you.
When he came on, his icon had the little penguins. I didn't think we were going to be talking about lighting shit on fire. Robert is here. Hello, Robert. Turn off your camera, please.
Okay. I am calling for a friend. She applied for asylum in 2018 and her application was accepted. She did her biometrics and hasn't heard anything since then.
Sure.
Her younger son came over a couple years before as on a student visa.
Before her, or
before her, a couple years before her, because he went to junior high school and high school here at a Catholic school. And then he went to one semester of college and then dropped out of college. And then he applied for asylum and they rejected his asylum application. And I think he's gotten an attorney to reapply for that, but that's not the main thing. So she came over, applied for asylum. Her husband, who was from China, did not come over with her, but he came over a couple times to help with the kids because she had two teenagers. I think it came over 3 times for 4 or 5 months each. I don't know on what kind of visa, but in 2020, he also applied for asylum, but they started having marital problems because he came over basically to live on her money and not help with the kids. And so they got a divorce in Nevada in October of 2021. Then she married a U.S. citizen in December of 2021, and he applied in April of 22 for a green card for her. They had their interview. It lasted like 3 minutes, and then she heard nothing for 2 years. And she finally got her first application that he did was done by, I think you used the phrase, a fake lawyer, but she finally got an attorney because I found something on their application actually, which was a misrepresentation, and her attorney filed a couple addendums. USCIS never responded back. They had a couple supervisory changes in our city and still never heard anything back. And then in the beginning of this year, she said, the only way you're going to speed this along is to file writ of mandamus, which she did.
On the marriage case.
On the marriage case, yeah. Correct. And then it took about 5 weeks, and the USCIS came to their house. Okay. And then maybe about a week or 10 days later, she got a notice of intent to deny.
Because?
Well, they had 2 houses. That wasn't explained very well at the beginning, but her attorney explained it very well. And it was mainly about living together and joint finances, but these are joint commingled accounts, but these are 2 older people, 59 and 70, whose finances are very well set, and they have no debts. They've really got, other than groceries and Costco, they got nothing to commingle because their assets have been separate for a while. They answer debt, but my question is, her attorney said she had to withdraw representation because of information contained in the letter, the notice of intent to deny.
Ooh.
And when she suggested applying for that, she said, don't even think about applying for writ of mandamus unless you're willing to go all the way, which could mean, lots of money and lots of papers, but she had to withdraw. So do you have any idea why a lawyer would withdraw?
I'd love to see that NOID. I'd love to see that NOID.
And now, I know enough about the case where USCIS actually even made up a couple things about when they came to the house, and
yeah, they do that. They do that.
And they said this, you said this and you said this, and it wasn't true. The rest of it, I think, and he couldn't find an attorney in this city to take the case, so he filed it. Filed a reply himself. But my question was mainly about why an attorney would withdraw from a case.
I would suspect, if I had to guess, if there's something in the NOID, I would think there's some factor in there that demonstrates that has something to do with her original marriage to the original Chinese fellow that filed for asylum after she did. I would imagine.
Okay. Oh, and as a side note, when they got divorced, and this was because he came over for her money. When they got divorced, which would be 2020, that's during COVID, he wanted to go back to China, the same place he applied for asylum from,
right,
and couldn't do it for a while because there was few plane flights going back to China. And eventually he went back to China.
Mm-hmm.
So associated with her is her husband her ex-husband who applied for asylum, who went back to China, her older son who applied for asylum and was denied. And here she is kind of stuck in the middle. And so you think it might, can a lawyer withdraw if they have a gut feeling that something's not like on the up and up?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. And they probably should. Now, the other thing is, you said that you found misrepresentations in the asylum application. I would never phrase
not in the asylum application, the actual the original is the 485 the one for the
green card.
For the green card, yeah, I found two problems in that, but the lawyer sent detailed explanations of why.
What were the mistakes?
It was about the addresses, because they lived in one house, but they changed addresses because of the school zone that her youngest son was in. If they lived in his house, he'd be in the wrong school district, so they stayed in her house. That was one thing, which I think got cleared up pretty well. The second thing was, and this is the problem of using a fake lawyer. Have you been convicted of any crimes, gone to jail, that kind of stuff? The real answer was yes. It was for a traffic violation, but because it was suspended and withdrawn, what do you call it? Expunged after a year. She should have put yes with an explanation. Is what I understand.
That's not this stuff.
Yeah, and her lawyer explained that too. And I can't think of anything else, like her husband said, unless there's something he doesn't know about.
Yeah. I don't know, brother. We're talking, I mean, you have a lot of the details, but we don't have enough of the details to know for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so the divorced in October, married in December is not.
Yeah, she sounds pretty savvy, and she sounds like she's sort of played fast and loose. And any marriage that takes place that quickly is always going to be problematic.
Mm-hmm. Now, her new husband, I mean, she has known him for 4 or 5 years because her ex-husband was in China and they struck up some kind of relationship while she was still married. That's how that originated. But okay. And then
it's unusual that an attorney withdraws from a case, especially if they were loaded for bear to file a writ and all that stuff. So
right.
And now, it's also unusual that the person couldn't find another lawyer in town to take it.
Oh, it's I mean, there's not that many immigration attorneys in this town or
I
nearby.
mean, immigration lawyers can do. He could have gotten anyone in the country. It doesn't have to be in there.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Hey, buddy,
concerned
Robert, I gotta
Gotcha.
go. My daughter's game's
Thanks.
gonna start. All right.
Cool. Bye-bye.
See you, brother. All right. Wow, that was something. Interesting case. Interesting day. Lots of good calls. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what time. You should text the word show to 314-470-3300 and we'll figure out when I'm gonna talk tomorrow. I hope you guys all have a great night. Let me put on my Parkway West hat so you guys can see me in my hat. My Longhorns hat. Can you see the fuzzy bump on top? All right, it's not that cold, but I was freezing yesterday. I was wearing shorts and my Crocs, or not my Crocs, my Birks, and it was too damn cold. So not doing that today. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks everybody, and have a good night.
I'm great about that, other than trying to help people who are in a state of invasion.